In today's video, I want to talk about the 5 things that I've done over the last couple of years that have really changed my life for the better. So hopefully you can take something from it and learn from it. See, the beautiful thing about learning is that you can avoid other people's mistakes and you can essentially just take their learnings, take all the good things, implement it into your own life. We all still have to try out like what worked for ourselves, and we have to fail and we have to succeed at some things. But in this video, I want to give you the things that have worked especially well for me, what has taught me the most and what has helped me become the best version of myself. So essentially, I just want to give you all the good parts. You can try and implement it into your own life and hopefully fast track your way to success after watching this video. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Rasmus, and over the past 6 years, I've spent my life building online businesses, getting in the best shape that I can possibly be, and also becoming the best version of myself. And all that information, if you're interested in the same things, I've put into a free community that you can join if you just click the link in the description. And last thing before we get into it, if you do end up enjoying the video, I would highly appreciate it if you just hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel. That would massively help me out. But with that being said though, let's get straight into it. So the first thing that I did that really changed my life for the better is that for around 2 years straight, I woke up at around 5 a.m. every single day. And I actually made a video on it around 2 or 3 weeks ago if you saw it, where I went a little bit more in depth. But over that period of time, those 2 years where I woke up like at 5 a.m. pretty much every single day, I really got a good feeling and a good insight into what it means to really be productive and really optimize your life towards just trying to build yourself and build on something, trying to build your way to success. And I will say, during that period of time, you do also have to cut a lot of things out. Like you need to cut out social events. You don't really drink as much. You lose a couple of friends just because you're not going to be there, and you're not going to go out to those restaurants at midnight, for example, and like have dinner and go to clubs and all these different things, because you just know that you're tired. And if you're in a routine where you naturally just wake up at 5 a.m., if you've been doing it for like 3 or 6 months or whatever, and you're really like locked in, like as soon as 9 or 8 p.m. rolls around, like you're naturally just going to be tired. And if you stay up until midnight, 1 or 2 in the morning, like you're still going to be waking up latest at like 6:30, at least that was for me. And you just know that your next day is going to be fucked and you're just going to be wrecked. And so naturally, you're just going to start gravitating away from those things and try to, at least for me, for example, instead of meeting up for dinner, I would tell friends like, hey, let's meet up for lunch instead. And some people are just not into that whole thing. And so it's very natural that you just lose a few friends over that because you just can't have the same routine as everyone else. But it also exposes a lot of things. I really got a good insight into seeing like how unfocused and how all over the place a lot of people are, because they are just kind of going with the flow. Whereas me, for example, I was like locked in. I was like, I need to get up at 5 latest, and then I either go straight to work or I go to the gym. I go do something to be productive, and that was essentially my entire life for 2 years. One thing I did mention in the last video, for example, was about evenings and how they're very, very unproductive. And I just realized, looking at other people and talking to other people, it's like, what do you do usually after 7 or 8 in the evening? Well, most people usually just sit and watch Netflix, and then they do that until midnight. And that's just so unproductive. And I was like, I don't want that in my own life. And so for me, for example, I'm a very big morning person. So it made sense for me to basically cut out that entire Netflix time and just flip that to the morning, and then get extra work where I'm even more productive. And so I would say for you, either have a period of time where you wake up extremely early or you go to bed extremely late, because you're one of those two categories. Some people work very good in the morning, some people work very good at night. I can't work at night, for example, so I'll just wake up early. But if you cannot for the life of you work at an early hour, just do the opposite and go to bed at like 2 in the morning, for example. And from, let's say, 8 p.m., maybe that's where you're super productive. From 8 to 2, that's where you then get a lot of work actually cranked out. And then you just wake up at a later hour. But I would say that every single person owes themselves for at least like 6 to 12 months to have that experience and just really be like locked in and say, okay, for the next 6 to 12 months, I'm on my own mission. The second thing I've worked on is that I've worked on making my word my bond. And what I mean by that is essentially just whatever I promise, whether that is to myself or that is to someone else, I'm going to show up and I'm going to uphold my end of the deal. Personally, for me, for example, I would want to be a trustworthy person, and I would just like to know for myself that I have the capacity and the capability to uphold whatever I say I'm going to do. I just would like to be that person. And one thing I realized over time is that a lot of people around me, and probably a lot of people around you too, will say they want to do a lot of things and they make all these promises, but they always end up falling short. And it's not necessarily that they're intentionally lying to you, but they just don't have the backbone, or they don't have the mental capacity to actually make that a priority. and they never actually trained that muscle to say, do you know what? I'm actually also going to care about someone else. I'm not just going to care about my feelings. And so for the past couple of years, I've intentionally tried to seek out different challenges, whether that is fitness or business related or mentality, but I've tried to seek out just hard things to do to challenge myself and say, I'm going to tackle this thing. But it's not so much about the challenge. It's about me promising myself that I'm going to do something and then actually also following through with that. And I think everyone deserves to have that capability and have that image, at least for themselves, but also from others, is that you are a trustworthy person and you can be counted on. I don't think there's anything less attractive than someone that you just know you can't rely on. Like if you make an arrangement with someone, like decide to meet up for dinner or something, but you don't know if they will actually show up after you confirm twice. For me, at least, that's not the friend and that's not the person that I would want to be. The third thing I've done is that I've worked on building proof of who I am. And so not a lot of people actually know this, but I used to, for the longest time, I used to see myself kind of as Ditto, if you know anything about Pokemon, to give a lame reference, but that was kind of how I saw myself. But Ditto is basically a Pokemon that can shapeshift. He can turn into anything that is in front of him. I think that's his whole thing. But essentially it's just like this ball of nothing really. And it's just a mirror, a reflection of whatever is in front. And I used to see myself basically as that, as someone who didn't have a lot of personality and someone who didn't used to think his own thoughts and not really have my own personal thing. And so whatever I would spend not even that much time in front of other people, I would very quickly pick up on what things they were doing. I would try to mimic them because I didn't have any proof inside of myself of who I actually was. And so for me, I've tried to sit down and tell myself what are the different value sets that I want to embody and who do I want to be as a person. And then from there, I've worked towards actually achieving this proof that I am this person. And so for me, for example, some of my value sets are: I value hard work, I value being resilient, I value, as I said, making my word my bond. But it's not enough to just say to yourself that you are this kind of person. You also need to build some sort of proof, as stack of papers, if you want to see that you actually are that person. Because if you ever get called out on it, or someone, challenges your beliefs, well, what are you going to say? Because you have nothing really showing for you. You can tell yourself that you are a kind person, but if all the proof that you have and how you act in real life is that you're a piece of shit to everyone else, it's not really something that's going to last you a long time. And it's really just more brainwashing yourself than it is anything else. And so when you build this sort of proof in yourself that you are who you think you are, that just makes it so much easier for you to actually walk around with conviction and walk around with confidence in the real world. The fourth thing I did is that I learned about fitness and I learned about nutrition. And this might seem very cliche or something, but I will say for myself, learning how to count calories, how macronutrients work, how fitness work, how you build up a stronger heart, how you build muscle, how you prevent injuries, and how you progress in whatever sport you want to progress in. All those things have really played a big difference in my life. And that's how, for example, for me, I've been able to stay in incredible shape over the last, I think, 4 years pretty much consistently. Always had abs, obviously varying levels of leanness. In the summer, usually I'm more lean than in the winter. But when you have the ability to manipulate your body at will, that's a very powerful thing. And it gives you a sense of control and it gives you a sense of strength that really just skyrockets your confidence. Because you know that if you're going to go on vacation for 2 weeks and you know you're going to be eating a lot of shit, you know exactly what to do before and you know exactly what's going to happen after, so that you don't have to stress about it. You could just eat whatever you want. And even on that vacation, you know how to make the smart choices, so you won't be putting on 10 kilos. And instead, you can come home from that vacation and look relatively normal. Having those skills and, for example, being able to just look at a plate and knowing exactly how many calories are in that meal and how many carbs, how many fats, how many protein in that specific dish, that's a superpower. Because you know exactly what's going to happen after you eat that meal, how you'll feel, what you'll do afterwards. And I would highly recommend everyone to just learn the basics about nutrition, learn the basics about calories, about fitness, so you have the ability to manipulate your body at will. Now, the last thing I've done that really changed my life is I've lived in different cultures. Over the past 4 years or so, I've lived in Spain 3 different times, in 2 different places of Spain, outside of Barcelona and then in Marbella 2 times. I've lived in Dubai and now I'm living in Romania, and I'm from Denmark. So essentially 4 different countries. And just seeing the cultural differences and seeing how people live their lives and how countries can be led, especially when I lived in Dubai, that was a really, really big eye-opener for me. Not only was it a big eye-opener in terms of culture, but also spiritually, it was a very big eye-opener. And just seeing, how God works in different societies and how different laws can be implemented in different places and how that actually works out. For example, if we talk about Dubai now, I think most of the Western world have a very negative view towards Muslims, but I would say living in Dubai, that's probably the most well-ran country I have ever seen in my life. Everything's so smooth. There's no crime. You feel incredibly safe. For that year that I lived in Dubai, I didn't lock my apartment door once. And only one time I had a random stranger walk through the door because she went to the wrong floor to visit her friend. But besides that, I had no incidents whatever with regarding to theft. Nothing got stolen. No issues whatsoever. And it's very normal in Dubai to not close your doors. And walking on the streets at night, you feel safe. You never feel in any sort of danger. If you're at a coffee shop, you can just leave your computer, leave your phone and wallet on your table, and it will still be there if you return 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours later. And so seeing how, for example, in Dubai, where you can take people from all around the world, put in the same place, and just because they came to a different place, now they behave wildly different because the government and the society is being ran in a different way, is a very big eye-opener, I would say. At least it's been for me, just to see what the possibilities are out there. And I would highly encourage you as well, if you have the opportunity to do so, just go to a different place, go to a different city even. For example, if you live right now in a very small city with not a lot of money, just moving to a big city with a lot of money, with a lot of successful people, and it will change how you see the world and how you act. And so if you can move to a different country or a different continent, try and move from your small city to a big city. Or if you live in a big city, move to a small city. I'm sure you will see a big difference, and that will probably change you over time on some level. That pretty much wraps up today's video. Those are the 5 things that I've done over the past couple of years to change my life for the better. I hope you got some value from this. If you did, I would highly appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel, because these are the types of videos that I make. And if you're someone who wants to improve yourself and you want to become the best version of yourself, again, you can join my free community called Aspire. There's a link down below. You can just click that. It will take you to school. You can submit a quick application, and then I'll see you inside. But that's it from now, guys. See you next video. Take care. Bye.